Hello and welcome to another one of my videos where I'll be going over some math. More specifically, I'll be taking care of subtracting large numbers. But first, as always, I want to take a look at it visually, so creating a pretty picture of exactly what we're doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at subtracting 4,000 minus 2,345 utilizing a place value model. On the top left of the screen, you'll see a legend where you'll notice that a bar is 1,000, a square is 100, a stick is a 10, and a circle is a 1. So we're going to be drawing the 4,000 and subtracting 2,345 from it. So let's get started. We now have 4,000 bars that represent the number 4,000. And we're looking to remove 2,345. Now, while we do have enough 2,000 bars within the 4,000, what we don't have is 100 boxes to represent the 300 to get that removed. So, what we ultimately are going to have to do is break down a 1,000 bar to 10 100 boxes in order to now have enough to subtract 300 from 4,000. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that we have 100 boxes, we have satisfied dealing with our 2,000, so we can subtract 2,000 from 4,000. We now are comfortable enough to subtract 300 from 4,000. We now need to look at the place value in the tens position because now we have no 10 sticks. Therefore, as we did with the 100 boxes, we need to remove a box in order to get 10 sticks so we can satisfy or complete subtracting 40 from 4,000. So let's go ahead and do that. In our final step of the idea of ungrouping, which is breaking down numbers in order to have enough to subtract, and we'll get into that here in a moment, is that we have to look at the ones place value. Since we looked at the ones place value, as the tens place value at the 40, and as well as the hundreds place value at 300 and the thousands, we don't have enough ones. We don't have any fives. So now we need to remove a 10 stick in order to have enough dots to satisfy subtracting. And there you have it. We now have each place value satisfied within a place value model so we can visually see 4,000 as enough to begin subtracting. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Now we can go from right to left or left to right, whichever way we want to go. But I'm going to go ahead and start at our ones place value of 5. So I'm going to remove 5 circles from the place value model. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to remove 4 sticks because that makes sense. We're now going to move to 300 and remove 300 blocks. And we are now going to wrap up with 2 1,000s. Which now tells us our final, once all this of course erases, our final answer is we have one 1,000 box. So I'm going to put it on the right of the screen. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 boxes. So now 600. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 sticks. And we wrap up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones, with our final answer being 1,655. And what we've shown by picture-wise, the place value model, is the idea of ungrouping or breaking down numbers so we're able to subtract. So let's look at actual numbers and subtract those. Heading into the idea of ungrouping, we're going to start with a multi-digit number such as 52 minus 18 or a multi-digit equation to get down the steps of subtracting before we get into larger numbers, such as in the thousands or even 10,000s. So there are steps as it relates to subtracting numbers that makes it very, very easy to answer the question. So number one always tells us write the numbers with the place values lined up. So make sure the tens are within the tens and the ones are within the ones to make it as comfortable as possible to write. So you get incorrect answers. So many mistakes I have seen as a teacher is because the 8 would be under the 5, as you can see in our equation. So the ones place is where the tens place is, down at the bottom, and the numbers get way off. Always make sure writing cleanly and neatly, as well as make sure that you're in the same place value. Always will make it easier to answer the question correctly. Number 2 tells us to subtract the digits in the ones place, regroup if needed. So regrouping is allowing us to utilize numbers from the left number, the biggest place value, and then so we can subtract. Because the situation we have here is 2 minus 8, and you're unable to subtract that. Therefore, what you have to do is regroup the 5 to make it a 4, and utilizing that 10 you took to make the ones place a 12. So now you can do the subtraction, which is now 12 minus 8, which equals 4 in the ones place. 4 minus 1, which is 3 in the tens place, leaving us with the answer of 34. And I kind of went ahead and did number 3, subtracting the digits in the tens place. And then number 4 says keep going until you have subtracted all of the place values. Continue to move to the next largest place and regroup as needed. Which now, on our next equation, we're going to be able to utilize number 4. Our second question we're going to cover is now getting into the thousands place value. And that is 8,000 minus 3,492. You notice with the pattern, there is going to be 3 zeros in 8,000. So it's going to be confusing on whether or not you can regroup or ungroup a 0, which we'll describe now. So let's look at our steps again. Number 1, write the numbers with the place values lined up. So we have 8,000 minus 3,492. So with these zeros in the tens place, as well as the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, and leaving the thousand place out for a second, you notice many zeros. And there is an inability, or you're unable to ungroup those numbers. So this is an idea of now ungrouping, whether you're going from left to right or right to left, meaning that looking at starting at the thousands or starting at the ones. So I'm going to start at the thousands where the 8 is and go right. Therefore, I know that I'm unable to subtract 0 from 4 in the hundreds place. So I'll take a 10 from the thousands place and make this number a 10. But waiting until it's subtracting until the very end. Next, I take a look at the tens place where it's 0 minus 9. And I notice that, once again, it's 0 minus 9. You're unable to subtract this at this point. Okay? Therefore, you remove this and you take a 10 from the hundreds place, which now will make this a 9, and make this a 10. And finally, in the ones place, you are unable to do the math for 0 minus 2. Therefore, you take another 10 from the tens place, make that a 9 and a 10, and then you begin subtracting. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 9 is 0. 9 minus 4 is 5. And wrapping up with 7 minus 3 is 4, leaving us with the answer of 4,508. Our first unique situation comes in when we have zeros and other digits at the top of the number. So 2,703 minus 1,966. So the situation comes in after step 2. So subtract the digits into one place, regroup if needed. So we notice we're unable to do 3 minus 6 in the 10th spot. So we have to regroup. And with regrouping, we notice we now have a 0 in the tens place. So what are we supposed to do here? You take the moment and you go to the 100s place and regroup the 0 to make it a 10 because you're unable to take a 0 from anything. So you now make the 7 a 6. You now make the 0 a 10, which now allows you in the one spot to be able to make this a 13 to remove a 1 from the tens position. And now you do the math, which leaves you with 13 minus 6 is 7. 9 minus 6 is 3. 6 minus 9 in the 100s place, you're unable to do. So now you will remove from the thousands place a 1 and make this 16. And now I'll do the math there. 16 minus 9 is 7. And 1 minus 1 is 0, leaving us with the answer of 737. And now let's go into our last unique situation, special situation of subtracting large numbers. Our final special situation when dealing with subtracting large numbers is the idea of having the same digit on the top and the bottom in the same place value. So we're going to be subtracting 5,483 minus 1,687, noticing that in the tens place value we have an 8, and it will cause a problem on regrouping as we go forward. So if we notice going forward that in the ones position we have 3 minus 7. Since we're unable to do that, we cannot do that, we now make this a 13 and ungroup the 8. And we were able to do subtraction in a moment. Now we look at the tens position. Since we took a 10 for the ones, it's now 7 minus 8. You're unable to do that in the tens position. So what ends up happening is we now make this a 17 and we remove a 10 from the 100s place, making that a 3. And that is good to go for doing the math there. Now we go on to the hundreds, and we're going through each place value as it says in step 3 and 4. Is we now take a 10 from the thousands place to make this a 4, so we have enough to subtract from the hundreds place. And now we begin doing our math. 13 minus 7 is 6. 17 minus 8 is 9. 13 minus 6 is 7. And 4 minus 1 is 3, leaving us with the answer of 3,796. And that wraps up my video today on subtracting large numbers. If you have any further questions, please leave a comment in the comment box. I would also appreciate a subscription if you do so and you like my videos, as well as a like on the video. And as always, have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.